Bonjour, bienvenue. As we say, good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming here for the annual press conference of SRO Motorsports Group and its CEO, of course, Stéphane Rattel. We are very pleased to welcome you on the biggest GT race in the world for sure, and one of the biggest motorsport event in the world, the Total 24 Hours of Spa. Total is, as you know, the main sponsor, the main partner, and we will welcome Bernadette Spinois, Managing Director for Total Belgium.
Thank you for the introduction. I'm very glad to be here with you. I'm the new MD of Total Belgium Marketing and Services since 9 months. And although it's the first time that it's a woman in charge of Total Belgium, I can tell you, you will see me on the racetrack because I love it. I've been to several of them, Austin, Singapore, as well as Bahrain, and of course, a lot of time in Spa-Francorchamps. As the pilot of Formula One say, and I suppose the GT pilot as well, it's the most beautiful racetrack in the world. We are very proud to be here for the 25th consecutive year with our partner SRO. And I want to say it's a wonderful opportunity to show the quality of our fuel and of our lubricant. And it's also a way to promote the racetrack through our leadership position in our network. In Belgium, I think we are bringing at least 20,000 customers to the race. That's it. I want to say that enjoy the race, and I give the floor to SRO, of course, and Stéphane. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Spinois. As we can see, you are driven by passion. That's a good thing. We are driven by passion as well. And of course, someone who is driven by passion for many years, more than 25 at the head of SRO Motorsports Group, Stéphane Rattel. Ladies and gentlemen, the annual press conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our annual press conference. We've had an extremely busy year, and the year ahead is going to be even busier. So we will give you this presentation going across our activities worldwide and telling you about the next big event of this year before talking about the events of next year and the evolutions and the project we have. So our company presentation, we run currently 13 championship and series around the world that represent 97 rounds plus 3 standalone events, 5 GT esports races. This total together in 53 events plus 48 test days. We operate in 25 countries on all 5 continents. Our 2 main activities, as you know, are GT3 cars, and if we look at the average of cars entered across all these championships, we have an average of 25 GT3 cars per race, and we have an average of 29 GT4 cars per race. In America, we also run the successful touring car series where we have an average of 40 cars per event. You can see that we go from sprint races to only one 24 hours, which is the total 24 hours of Spa, where you're here today. That shows the global map. So we have 12 race events in America, 31 in Europe, 8 in Asia, 1 in Australia, and now 1 in Africa. We also run a number of franchise agreements, essentially on GT4, and we provide BOP for a number of series around the world. So that represents also 10 events in America, 46 in Europe, 18 in Asia, 7 in Australia. So our technical department is rather busy managing, getting data from all these championships to help us to get the most accurate possible balance of performance. In terms of social media footprint, we continue our growth, and we're very happy by the way it's going on all platforms. And most importantly, we have a huge jump in terms of TV viewership. Why? Because before we had American broadcaster for our series in America, we had Asian for our series in Asia, and we had European for our series in Europe. In fact, we had more global footprint for the European series. The fact that we put 3-hour series under the same name, the same umbrella, GT World Challenge, everybody loved it. When you come to a TV broadcaster and you show a calendar with 18 races around the world, they all say, wow, that looks like a Formula One calendar, let's go for it. And that's how you see a true jump of 212% growth in TV viewership. And these are the number of Nielsen, so it's absolutely accurate and credible. We have this year another number of important key events. Next one, big one, is the Suzuka 10 hours, fourth round of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, second edition. This was for many, many years, 45 years, the Suzuka 1,000 kilometers. Second round when it's with this 10 hours distance. We have a large fan base. It's a very popular event. We have 13 brands represented. We grew up from last year. Now we have 40 cars entered this year. And many, 25 of them are our international cars, most of them competing for the Intercontinental GT Challenge. Barcelona is another important one, not only because it's the final round of the Blancpain GT Series in Europe, but also because it's the first car where we introduce the GT2 category that will be integrated with GT3, and it will be very important for us to see the relative performance of GT2 running with GT3 cars. In the end of non-professional driver, because I will explain you later that GT2 is all about non-professional drivers. Next big one, we had difficulties to announce it because I'm going to tell you a little story there. I had been invited years ago by Don Panos to the final of the ELMS in Las Vegas. I stayed at the Bellagio. I thought it was fantastic. Don did a big party. And I said, really, sometime it's something I would like to do in America. So when we acquired majority in the World Challenge in America, I said, yeah, we have to do this final event in Vegas. It shouldn't be complicated because I've been there. It was running. What I forgot is time flies. It was in 1999. So 20 years had passed by. The road course used by Don Panos had been completely dismantled. There was no more road course. So we had to go through a lot of trouble. Greg had to go through a lot of trouble to find a way to re-homologate the road course and assemble it. But I believe it's a great place to end the season, a great place for our American competitors across all classes. And it's also a great place to hold our final annual banquet. We did it in Paris 2 years ago. We did it in London last year. And I said, now that we're a global company, we need to go global. And next year we'll do it in Vegas in America. So that will happen. Many opportunities for manufacturers, for partners, hot lap, hospitality, table booking, and all the rest of it. Next big one, I'm not going to go too much in detail because we had a specific presentation yesterday at the Eau Rouge for the FIA Motorsport game. We're very proud and pleased to have grown our Nations Cup of last year that was in Bahrain with only GT3 cars into a multi-category platform aiming at nations. The driver will race for their country, and the idea is really to go from grassroots. It starts with electric cars, 14 to 16-year-old drivers doing slalom. You don't need a license, you only need to be there to represent your country. And then you have digital gaming, e-gaming with Gran Turismo. You have F4 thanks to KCMG, to Mr. Paul Yip, who created and built the first new generation F4 with hybrid, with a halo. And it's going to be all maintained under one roof by high-tech and a very, very good formula for young drivers to prove themselves. And also we will have drift, spectacular. At night, we will have TCR and we will have GT3. So I believe it's going to be the beginning of something very big and important for SRO. Another big event we very much love. It's not the easiest, and we had a couple of turbulent years. Last year went okay, and the turbulent years resulted to only 15 cars last year. But last year was quieter. We didn't wreck after field. So we have growing interest again, and we really expect today we are about secure at 17 cars, and we hope to reach 20 to 21 cars for the event in November. Last event of the year will be a great one, probably one of the greatest. We will revive, and you know it already, the once legendary Kyalami 9 Hours, which was the final round of the World Sports Car Championship. It will be the final of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, and it adds a 5th continent to our program. I've been at the time where I was still lucky enough to be a driver. I raced there the last really international race at Kyalami in a Lamborghini Super Trophy, and I keep great memories. There was a huge public, a great enthusiast. We are looking at a strong grid. We had a lot, thanks to our teams, we had a lot of interest, and we think we can bring 30 international cars to Kyalami. And we do have interest for about 8 additional cars for South African teams, competitors. So it promises to be great, especially since we do have a great event promoter. We have the largest event promotion company in South Africa. They are not normally in racing. They never done racing, but they organize concerts. They organize the biggest event in Kyalami, which has nothing to do with cars. It's a food and music festival. So if all the guests who like food and music don't mind the sound of the car, it could be very, very big because they have something like 30,000 spectators. So, and in addition, you know, they have just finalized agreement. It's going to be live on national television, on national radio. So expect it to be big right out of the box. Another of our activity is Curbstone. It's a company we acquired in partnership with RACB a couple of years ago, and it is really growing fast. We are making it really the perfect for all our team in the pre-season track days, test days for all our teams, because you know we changed now most of our testing organization, where we organize this test on the Thursday of the event to save teams some cost, but the teams need to test prior to the beginning of the season, and Curbstone is the perfect environment to do it. Also, we're launching a new, what we call it, Club Days, because it's quite sporty, the Curbstone Days. So some people which maybe don't have the same level are a bit cautious. They would like something quieter with maybe less of a level. So that's something new we're launching. And now with all these events we organize across Europe, I think we are one of the biggest, if not the biggest, track organizer in Europe. Total Look Rally. This is a picture we had taken in June. It's on the prestigious Place Vendôme in Paris. Rally has always been part of the history of SRO. We organized the Supercar Rally. When I was young and a bit crazy, I even organized the Cannonball, but that is things of the past. Now we follow the law and we are reasonable. But it's been a real success because what matters is the total look. And people really went into dressing, finding the accessories. The women loved it. And it's true that, you know, we are lucky to have some girls driving in our championship, but they are a small minority. And this is the opportunity for the wives and the girlfriend and the ladies to really enjoy a weekend of automobile. And so next year we did it the Vendôme 80s, and next year we do the Saint-Tropez 90s, so back to the 90s. It's going to be a lot of fun. And for those of you who think, isn't Stéphane busy enough to go and dress in the 90s? But you will understand later that there is an idea behind that, and we needed to recreate a rally division at SRO, something we did successfully. Now let's go to the real everyday business, GT4 and touring car. So GT4, I'm not going to go to the detail, but these are all our partners and franchise series around the world. It continued to grow. We're adding more logo each year. and it continued to show the development, the global development of the GT4 category. The GT4, our leading series, is the GT4 European, which, if you look at number, is the only one that, of all the series we organize around the world, that went down a little bit from 41 cars to 36 cars in average this year. But why did it go down? Because in the meantime, we have made a partnership with Germany, which enjoys a grid in average of 25 cars. We are starting something in Scandinavia with an average of 13 cars. We have something in Southern Europe, which is just burgeoning. And for this reason, we have less cars in the European series, but you see that the number of cars competing in GT4 only series in Europe is growing, and this is the calendar we are presenting for next year. So the GT4 European will come here with the 24 hours. And we are, I think you will appreciate that it's a combination, a collection of only Formula One circuit with Zandvoort, I believe, becoming a Formula One circuit next year. In France, France is a resounding success. The FFSA GT is a big success. We continue to grow the grid from 39 to 41 cars, and we are working both for the European, the French, and all the other at organizing a finale, a grand finale, and it will be most probably in Imola at the end of the season. In America, looks good. The sun is shining on most of the events in America. The cars are colorful, and it's a great championship, and it's a championship that's really growing because we went from 23 cars last year to 35 this year. It was a bit complex because we introduced an East and West championship, and we wanted to give cups on all of the event, and that was becoming really a lot of cups to distribute. So we're changing a little bit of that. And also it's in fact two grids. You have a grid of sprint, because the World Challenge used to be only single driver sprint competition coming to touring car, adapted to GT4. And we started by saying, oh, we don't know, because maybe either the Sprint X, which is what we have in Europe with two drivers, or the Sprint, which was the traditional format, one will collapse on its own, and then we will continue with only one. But in fact, both are running in parallel, and we're happy with it. You see a lot of TBA, because our idea for the Sprint is to bring back the GT4, and the same for touring car, to some Indy races, where you have a large public and the teams like it. So we're working on that for next year. Same thing for TC. These are the TCR, and we have three classes. We have TCR, we have TC, and we have TCA. And these three classes together are 40 cars. There also, it's growing. And we have interest of new manufacturer for the TC class, and we have interest in new venue. There also, we want to bring these cars to some of the Indy meetings. GT3 remain the backbone of SRO. It's a category that, since we introduced it in 2006, is continuing to grow, attracting ever and ever more cars around the world. The British GT Championship, we saw 2 years ago, we said, the GT4, the number of GT3 cars is going down, and it's not going to go forever, and it will end up rapidly, like it did in France, in an all GT4 formula. Wrong. The GT3 is resisting very well. In the UK, it has grown to 15 cars, and since GT4 is also growing, we have a fantastic, absolutely full, resounding success with the British GT Championship. The calendar is traditional, the calendar is confirmed, and let's not change a winning formula. The Intercontinental GT Challenge, this is growing fast, and we are absolutely delighted with it. I absolutely love this picture, by the way, which was taken in Bathurst. It's very simple. The concept is one race per continent and going to the most iconic circuits in the world. So we have, for the moment, we have 4 we have 3 very successful events. Bathurst is very successful because it's been there for ages. Suzuka is very successful, been there for ages. Spa, I don't need to tell you. Then we have Kyalami. It's new, but it had deep roots, and we know it's going to be a success. But our only problem was America. Why? Because America, the sports car scene, long distance, is ultra-dominated by IMSA. We have to recognize it. And we had this attempt in Laguna Seca for 3 years. 1 year it went difficult, the first one. Second one, it started bubbling as being good. And last year, bada boom, again, a poor grid, poor public attendance, not a very motivated promoter, even if I absolutely adore the place, because I think Laguna Seca is one of the best, most beautiful circuits in the world. But we had to look for something to bring the race more at the end of the season, because we see that our American competitors, they're a bit cautious and they prefer to do the long distance race at the end of the season. So Greg has been shopping around in America, and he found, I think, for us, the best possible place, somewhere where there is no IMSA going, some place where we're going to be the big and the only long distance event in America for GT cars only, with the benefit of the support of the manufacturer. We will go next year to Indianapolis. So we'll have, you can see that we are growing the Intercontinental from 16 cars last year to 21, participating to all the events in average. 4 manufacturers will double it to 8 manufacturers, and we have good reason to believe that this could go to 9 or even 10 next year. And with a calendar like this, I think there is no reason for anybody not to do, for any manufacturers, because it's a manufacturer-led series, there is no reason for nobody not to do the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli. Our World Challenge in America. The World Challenge in America, we had one commitment that we said last year. We had a very hard time 2 years ago, because we went down to an average of 13 cars, I think. So we had one big commitment, which is to say, we have to save GT3 in America. The manufacturers are to believe in what we're doing. We will have an average of 18 cars, and if we achieve this average, we are sure it is going to continue to grow. We have succeeded. We went from 13 to 18 cars in average, and we want to offer our American competitors the possibility, and they have to be motivated to come and join the 8 hours in Indianapolis. So that will be part of the championship, and that will be the last event of the season. So we stay at 7 events, but we add Indianapolis at the end. The World Challenge Asia, that's also a very nice picture. Looks, it's really a success. It's probably the only true successful, sustainable Pan-Asian championship. It is the one where you have Chinese driver going to race in Japan, you have Japanese going to race in China, and the Malaysian going to, and so on. You know, it's not as politically easy in Asia than it is in Europe, but it's working, and it's a fantastic asset in the SRO portfolio to have such a successful and great-looking championship in this part of the world. We've been, in fact, stable, but we grew the number of GT3 cars. It's difficult to understand, and we'll talk about it with the manufacturer, but GT4 has difficulties to grow in Asia. We have to find the reason. And there also, we want to do the same thing we are doing in America and start to introduce long-distance racing. Our team were not very much in favor of it because they think it's so hot. But if we go to Shanghai in October, it's not warmer than anywhere, certainly not warmer than Spa this weekend, so there shouldn't be a problem. So we were also worried with Fuji, because next year the circuit is closed for the Olympic game, a good part for 3 months. So we had to review our calendar, and we're delighted to have a date in Fuji to go back to Suzuka. As you can see, it is a great collection of circuit. And in China, we have a couple of conversations going on, but we will have 2 rounds in China next year. Europe, the big news is that with what we've seen in television footprint, we want to bring the Blancpain GT under the World Challenge banner, because we want to propose to the broadcaster not only the sprint race, but everything. And as you can see, with Indianapolis becoming endurance and joining the US series, with Shanghai 888 becoming sprint endurance and joining the Asian series. In fact, we become a mix of sprint, endurance on all 3 continents, and therefore we thought it the right thing to do to call it All GT World Challenge across the world, to have one product. And this allowed us to release today, and believe me, it has been a lot of work for all the series manager around the world to present you with a 23 non-clashing event customer racing global program, where manufacturer will be scoring point across all this fabulous calendar, which I think is a collection of the most beautiful, most prestigious circuits around the world. And if the task was not difficult enough, we had to slot in another 3 events, non-clashing, because of course Intercontinental cannot clash with the World. That allows us to propose 26 non-clashing events, which are combining customer racing competition and factory-supported competition. We presented the idea last year. Here comes the total development of it. And we believe that what makes a successful customer racing program, you need to sell a lot of cars, and you need to have good teams, fast team, making results. Because for manufacturer, customer racing is a combination of sales and marketing. So we think that really offers to the GT3 planet and to the GT planet a very, very credible program. GT2, and thanks to Audi Sport and Chris Ranker for presenting this fabulous car. We came with this project here a year ago. It's wonderful to see it becoming reality, and it's fantastic to see such important manufacturer trusting us. So where are we now? We have 2 cars that have been already presented, the Audi and the Porsche, and you can see that the Porsche is really going well, and I was delighted to hear that there was absolutely no problem. The car is proving fast, it's proving reliable, and I think the drivers are absolutely delighted about it. So the third one will be unveiled. I had the confirmation at Barcelona. That will give you another good reason to come to see the final round of the Blancpain GT Series in Barcelona. And next year, we are in advanced conversation, and we truly believe that you will see in the course of the year another 3 models being presented. It's not me to tell you who they are, and that's after that, you know, these are really the supercars, because GT2 is not about heavy modification, so you know it's restricted to really the true supercars. We will keep it for the idea of GT2 was always, and now we start having people to say, can we do this or that? No. This is only for real non-professional driver. And we have one platform for it. It's our GT Sport Club. The GT Sport Club is only for amateurs, minimum age 40 years old. You have a class for the guys my age, around my age, which is called the Titanium. And in a couple of years, I will join the Iron Cup, which is a guy for 60 and over. So it's really for the car owners. It's a lot of time in the car, for little time on the track, because usually we have the first practice at 11 in the morning on Saturday, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're finished. On Sunday, you can go home. So it's very efficient for people which are very busy, and I think which are not professional. They don't want to spend 4 days on a racetrack. And we really believe that it's the right formula for the GT2. So we will introduce it at the GT2 Sports Club in America with 5 races, 5 great races, and it will start in June to help the teams getting the cars. So I will urge my dear manufacturer to first deliver Asia. We would like to start in Sepang. In Asia, we will start smaller with only 3 events. And in America, we go strong with 5 events. What can we do when we do GT4, GT3, GT2? I think there is something missing. So the missing bit is that one. We will present next year the GT1 Sports Club, because beside GT2, you have all these fabulous machines that are being presented by many manufacturers. They can't go on the road. They are competition cars, but they can't do anything with it. And I think there is a market for these cars to come together and for the owners to join a very prestigious club. And this very prestigious club is reserved for high-performance, highly super exclusive race cars. It's pure gentleman racing. It's pleasure, and when we will have the club together, we will decide with the club members what they want to do. Do you want to have time practice? Do you want to do some non-contact gentleman racing? We will put a fabulous high-level hospitality in the paddock, which will be at the level of these amazing cars. And we will, to start, present 2 events. We will go to Paul Ricard in October. Why in October? Because we're so busy with the Blancpain that we won't have the time really to take care of our clients as we would like. So we will go with the final event of the French GT Championship, which is popular, where you have maybe more public than for the Blancpain because it's been there for many, many years, and the people in the region, they're less busy taking care of the tourists, and they can come. And also, since I will be less involved in the organization, maybe I will have the pleasure to drive personally. I'm missing driving a little bit. And also then we will put these cars with an option to go on a plane or an option to go on a boat, to go to Kyalami, which I believe is a perfect setup for this type of car for a very high-level end-of-the-year event. Our FIA Motorsport Games, we are very ambitious about it. As I told you, we started last year with 1 category. We have this year 6 categories. Next year, we intend to have 10, 12, 14. We will try to have as many as possible. And it's not, I don't want to keep it a secret, because this year the problem is we started so late with Rome that we don't want to do the same mistake. And we will be successful in Rome. The opening ceremony on the foot of the Colosseo, near Arco Contantino, the Piazza del Popolo for the car presentation, the parade going sur Via del Corso is going to be, all this is going to be amazing. And we thought next year we need a platform, maybe a larger platform, and we are proposing to the FIA to go to Paul Ricard with an opening ceremony in a prestigious city in the south of France. And we don't want to stop there. 2021, we want to do it even bigger. If we can add bicycles, if we can add speedboat, it's a motorsport game. It's about speed and nations, and it's a huge project for us. So what is the next step for SRO now? The most frequently asked question to any leading motorsport promoter is, what is your environmental strategy? It's a difficult question to answer when you are first in customer racing, and second of all, you're running cars which are all over 500 horsepower with flat 6 and going up to V12. It is not easy. So for years we thought that we should be able to progressively integrate hybrid and maybe electric vehicle into our grid. We thought this is going to be something more exciting for the public and for the media, instead of only seeing electric cars going around, to see the comparative performance of both, and it should be the way. But GT Technical FIA meetings after FIA meetings, talking to the manufacturer. I think 5 years ago, I spoke to one of the manufacturers here present on the grid today. They said, this year we come with the standard car, and next year we'll come with the hybrid. That was 4 years ago, and we still haven't seen the hybrid. The fact is, in this environment, these cars are very complex to operate, especially for independent teams. And for the electric vehicle, before they can match the performance of our cars, even in GT4, and over an acceptable distance, it might not be tomorrow. And our feeling is that we can't wait 10 years to do something, because it's really getting hot and hotter every winter, every summer, and we should really be responsible and have really an environmentally conscious approach. So we first had to really look at the market projection analysis, what we did, and then to design something which is in the spirit of what SRO is doing. And what SRO is doing is customer racing while providing marketing for the manufacturers. So we looked at the market analysis, and from a study which was published on the 18th of July and which is extremely serious, it is really a tidal wave of plug-in vehicle, whatever they're hybrid or electric. They estimate that the number of cars produced will grow by times 6 by 2025. 2025 is tomorrow. It will go from 4% of the European production today to 22%. It represents the number of models. As you can see, that the evolution of models, it will go to about 60 models currently produced available in plug-in to 350 models by 2025. It represents, Reuters estimate, combined investment of the manufacturers of 146 billion euro. But the big question mark is, and nobody deny it, where are the buyers? Because the reality is, for the moment, the number of the estimated buyers for this car do not necessarily match the production. So it's a huge challenge for the manufacturer and for the governments to convince the buyers to buy, the public to buy these cars. How you can do it? Either government policy, it can be a bit coercive. France tried it by raising the price of fuel. You had, as a result, the yellow vest movement. So it's not absolutely easy to force your public too hard. You will have to have a massive investment in electric vehicle charging infrastructure. And very importantly, you need to make these cars desirable to the general public and to transfer 125 years of automobile passion, because people do love cars, to this new generation. The risk for the manufacturer is that they would be joining Dyson, and Dyson, as you know, is working on an electric car project, and they will become basically home appliance business sector and no longer the automobile we love and we dream. So we believe at SRO that very modestly at our level, we can try to help. And our fundamental, as I told you, are customer racing. And as customer racing, what we sell are sensation. We are adrenaline dealers. And unfortunately, if we try in the same way, as long as an electric vehicle doesn't provide the same type of adrenaline that a V10, it's going to make it a very difficult sale. So the conclusion was that it would be difficult to integrate it in our current platform. And instead of bringing it all into one, we want to work it in parallel and propose something radically different, which will be our GT Experimental World Tour. So we go back to the idea of our rallies. Thanks to our friends at Bentley to have presented this fantastic car just a couple of days ago, which shows very much how appealing these cars can be. So what's happening today? We're not in an evolution, we are in a revolution. And since it is a revolution, we thought to go back 120 years and see how does it started. How does it started? Racing was about cities to cities. The first race ever organized was in 1895, the Paris to Bordeaux. And we believe that we can resurrect this type of city-to-city competition. Of course, it's not going to be like in 1895, where you had people being killed on the side of the road because they never had seen anything quicker than a horse, so they were looking like this, and bam, they were dead because it was quicker, going 3 times the speed of a horse. So that's not this amazing Terzo Elemento Lamborghini is not going to go 400 kilometers per hour on the road. It is not the idea. The idea is that we will have categories, the GT Experimental, GTX for electric, GTX H for plug-in hybrid, GTX H2 for hydrogen, and GTX A one day for autonomous car, but it's not tomorrow. The categorization, and we are putting together a technical group to work very seriously on that, will be a combination of time competition race and energy consumption. Basically, you have to be the fastest while using the least energy. This is, I think, the new Lotus they just presented, and this is the Pininfarina. So you can see there are very, very sexy cars coming on the market. Our idea is to start it in 2021 with a European road show, to continue in 2022, adding an American road show in addition to the European road show, and by 2023 to have 3 road shows, which result can be combined in the same way of the GT World Challenge. And on the way, it's a bit the history of competition, like the old Tour de France, where you go from cities to cities, but you also have every day some competition. So you stop, you have a rally stage, you stop, you have an hill climb, you stop, you have a short race designed for this type of cars. And most importantly, you can do either competition or you can do regularity. So you can have customers. You can have, of course, the manufacturers will want to prove their technology, and we can have customers that will enjoy driving this amazing car together. And when you see how many people you can attract, whatever it is on Place Vendôme with cars from the 80s, or it is in Spa for GT3 cars, we believe that if we put all these very special cars on the road, going from city to city, in city center and along the road, we will have a massive crowds. People will be delighted to see these cars, and we will contribute to environmental friendly policy with SRO. Thank you very much. I hope it hasn't been too long. As you can see, we're very busy, and none of this would be possible without your support, without the fabulous team I have at SRO on all continents, without all the manufacturers, the partners, the drivers, and the team who trust us and hope will continue to trust us for the future. Thank you very much.